that's the perfect segue to tell us about a software you guys developed called Streamline Automotive Solutions by West Herr Automotive Group. From
Yeah,
what I
thanks.
yeah, from what I can see, it may be the single most efficient inventory match solution on the planet. How does it work, and what problems does it solve?
At the most macro, we're addressing consumer affordability issues. So that could be tough credit. It could be somebody with negative equity. It could be somebody buying a third car for their household with a real specific budget constraint. It could be a perfect credit customer getting their first job out of college buried in student loan debt. All of these types of people have very specific budget constraints that they're trying to stay within or need to stay within to get an approval. So Streamline is a budget calculator and a vehicle selection tool. That's it. It makes people at the dealership faster, smarter, and allows the process of selling a car to one of those challenged conditions easier and more understood by both sides, dealership employees and customers. So it's been a really effective tool for us over the last couple of years. It really helps preventing, like at a practical level, it helps preventing selling too much car or selling the wrong car that's never going to get approved. And that creates a lot of friction and frustration in the sales process, right? So by using a tool like Streamline, where you align customer affordability parameters to lender guidelines, it makes everything really smooth and easy. So it's been great. We built it as an internal tool for us. There was no intention to take it to market, but because we're just so passionate about the product, we couldn't help but be like, I think some dealers in the country might like this thing. Why don't we talk to them about it? Yeah, now we have clients all over the country, and it's really been an interesting process, evolving into what some might say a technologist or a software business. But
yeah, I mean, you lead the way, right?
And I think
cool. But what's great, dude, like I talk all the time about sometimes dealerships are beholden to their technology partners. I think that's a really interesting point. That's not always aligned. So technology partners are often trying to minimize R&D, right? Because they have continuous cash flow, whatever. Like as long as they're not disrupted, as long as their product's not getting disrupted, they don't need to innovate. But a dealership is in constant pressure to like innovate or keep up with consumer demands or whatever. So sometimes our technology partners, who we spend millions and millions of dollars with a year, are not really aligned with what we need to do moving forward, right? So I think sometimes certain use cases, like even Streamline's product, while we feel like it monetizes really well, like a big business, like a CDK Cox type big business, may not see the value of that niche product because they're so big worrying about like other things that they're supporting.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy how car motivators, we do a lot of consulting and coaching for a lot of tech companies, and this was before we did that. I wasn't familiar with the term tech debt, but it's crazy how the more consumers or the more dealers a software vendor takes on in automotive, but this is exclusive to automotive. But the harder it is, the more consumers they're taking on, the harder it is to make changes to the software. That's right. And it's like these things grow and grow and grow and get to the point where, now it's like, okay, it's stuck the way it is and it forever will be. And, so that's interesting. That's why you see like a lot of the newer companies, they're so well put together, the software, and then some of the older stuff just creeps along. And you'd think that those big companies, Cox with Vin Solutions as an example, would be able to adapt and update their stuff faster. But some of these startups are more agile with it. Sounds like your tool is pretty still in that agile stage where you guys are developing as you go. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, man. I mean, you're spot on. Obviously, when you have $100 million of recurring revenue, you're pretty conservative with respect to disrupting the apple cart, right? And and rightfully so, probably, right? Like more than half your users probably don't want the innovation or the brand new thing. So you got to be very self-aware, I think. My observation is the biggest tech companies in automotive are really more customer service companies. They're not really investing in product and R&D at this point. They may end up acquiring dealerships, right? They're kind of the gravity or the black hole, acquiring all the startups that, find a niche and find some success. ACV is an interesting story. ACV Auctions was founded by a West Herr salesperson and a couple other people. But West Herr salesperson in 2014 broke away to a Buffalo incubator called 43 North and they started working with working on ACV. They ended up winning a business plan competition in Buffalo, subsequently went on to raise hundreds of millions of dollars, went public at a $3 billion valuation or something, I think last year maybe, or the year before. A really interesting success story, startup story. Now that's a product that is basically Manheim, slightly revised, right? Like instant auctions or, so Manheim had an opportunity. They could have acquired ACV, but they didn't. They chose not to. Now maybe they'll pivot or develop something different or whatever. But now, ACV, they're probably too big to acquire now, right? ACV went public at a, $2 or $3 billion valuation. So, it's real interesting. That whole space, to me, I'm not an expert in it, but it's like, you see a lot of fascinating acquisitions